right, today's the day. We're gonna take this thing to see if we can get it tuned. Any guesses on the horsepower today? We'll see. I can tell you I'm hoping for north of 900, but I don't know if it will. But we got the old LT4 supercharged truck pulling the LT4 supercharged car. And we're gonna get down to the dyno. Blower noise. Isn't it crazy how you can see the, like, hear the difference in it?
Oh yeah.
How'd that feel? Woo! We're chipping away. God dang! That thing's scary. Drum roll. Oh, we're getting real close, Andy. We're getting real close, buddy. So far this thing has been a headache. The methanol has been a pain in my ass, but it seems like we finally got her sorted. I'm gonna go deaf trying to record this video. Sounds like Tron Legacy in here when you let off. We hit 800! Oh. We hit 800! Woo! Woo! What do you think, Andy? You gotta get your comments. Is it good? You didn't blow it up. Yet. Throw another 2 in there. 4? Yeah, I like your style. Hey, did you sign the waiver? Blow it up. Hey, you heard the man.
Back from the dyno, ran solid, did like 32 pulls.
Didn't do quite that. It was like, I don't know exactly how many, I just know it did like over 20. We had, it was kind of a learning experience. Andy, the tuner that we use for everything, and it was the first time we'd used this type of alky control meth system. This one, it runs off of the mass airflow sensor instead of the MAP sensor. And it took some doing, because the way the alky control came out of the box was it's set up for an LT4 supercharged car with a 4-inch intake like most of the Z06s out there. This one being a 2650 with a 5-inch Cordes performance intake and a lot of other stuff going with it, the VSX aux pump, the Cordes expansion tank, the Mighty Mouse catch can. I mean, this is a lot of things coming together in one, as well as the cam. So when we started tuning it, Andy was trying to figure out how to get the meth to come on sooner, and it didn't seem to matter what we did or what we changed, it wouldn't come on any sooner. That was weird. Why do I hear myself? Happening. Okay, what the hell was I saying?
I don't know. But
okay. Are we still recording?
I shut it off and turned it back on.
Alright. Sorry, I started hearing myself think. So anyway, Andy was trying to get it to come on sooner because it kept trying to come on at like 3,500, 4,000, 4,500 RPMs. And he just wanted to get it to come on sooner. We couldn't figure it out. Luckily, Alky Control is such a bitchin' company that literally I just hopped on Google, pulled up the phone number and called, and Julio, the owner, who does all of it, just answers the phone and was willing to spend 2 hours. It wasn't on the phone the whole time, but we called him 3 separate times and then texted him all afternoon, and he helped us get it all dialed in, and we ended up having to do some changes to the Alky control box underneath the dash. And then we got it dialed in, and it ran perfect. And that's why we had to do so many pulls, because there was at one point it flooded the system so bad that it actually like almost killed the engine, and then it didn't want to start again because it was flooded. We had to like clear it out. But once we got that all dialed in, got that air bled out of the system and stuff, they can kind of be a pain that way. But it ran perfect. And we ended up, are we telling people the numbers or are we showing them?
Well, we can tell them too.
Well, so we ended up towards the end there on 16 pounds of boost. It made 801 wheel horsepower. I kind of expected it to make more boost because based on like Holly's car has a bigger upper pulley than this. It has the same size supercharger from Magnuson, so it's the same blower really. This is just a different design to fit under the hood of a C7. But basically it made 2 pounds less than Holly's car, and Holly's car is an LS with a stock LSA lower and actually a larger upper pulley with Frankenstein heads, so you would think it would even make a little bit less because the heads flow better. But so basically it made 16 pounds, made 800 wheel horsepower, and to kind of put that in perspective on what we gained with the cam and the blower and all the supporting mods, on this car had a pulley on the LT4 supercharger that made 14 pounds of boost and made 600 wheel horsepower. So with just a cam and the blower and 2 more pounds of boost, it picked up 200 wheel horsepower from what it was. And like, as you can see, we're driving it around. You can't hear it. It's quiet in here. It drives nice. It rides nice. Like, this car is fantastic, like, quite honestly. And so, like, the only reason I have it, Diego, the owner, took it home Friday night, Friday night, and kept it all weekend, took it to a car show and everything was great, but we had a couple of things we wanted to touch up, and if you show him the dash, we've got a light on for a speed sensor in the front right that he wants me to get figured out, so that's the only reason we still have it, and he wanted me to drive it to make sure that the trans tune and everything was dialed in, because we never got a chance to drive it after the dyno because it was still half tore apart. You know, when you're tuning all these systems together, you know, I left this side's wheel well out, I left the fender on the passenger side loose so we could get to the ECM if we needed to. A lot of little stuff that still needed to be put back together, so when I brought it home Friday night, him and I hung out in the shop and we put it back together so that he could drive it home, and then he had it all weekend. And my goal is to have it all finished up and dialed in so he can take it back home next weekend. And we may just take it up to him, I don't know yet, because I do like to go up to Rochester sometimes and screw around in Mexico. But like, here we are, things driving great. I just got to figure out, it looks like a front right speed sensor is kind of coming in and out. It like goes away and comes back. But so yeah, I mean, it made 800 wheel horsepower without breaking a sweat. I've gotten on it a few times. This thing doesn't even feel real the way it accelerates. It's crazy.
Like, it's crazy to think about, but 800 horse in this is
so streetable.
It's streetable, but when you get into it, it's 10 times crazier than the 850 plus in my car, specifically because of the weight difference.
It's just the weight difference. This car is, no joke, it's leagues faster than Holly's car, and like, quite honestly, it drives the same. Look, somebody was doing donuts here on top of my donut marks. They left some really dark marks there. It was pretty badass. But
starting a trend.
But like, this deal, like, I got on it earlier. I was headed into town. I had to get some registration, which should be in here or in the house somewhere, for my pickup, and I just rolling into it at 60 miles an hour. This thing's hazing the tires off. I was like, man, it's taking everything in me to hold it straight. The thing just wants to just spin the tires no matter what speed you're going. It made, like, the thing that impressed me the most wasn't necessarily the peak horsepower number. It was like you're like getting the sun right in the lens, dude.
No, you're getting the sun in the lens.
So it wasn't the peak horsepower number, it was the amount of torque this thing makes with this 2650. I mean, Andy was rolling into it at 2,500 RPMs, and when he'd whack it, the dyno's like 630 wheel torque and just like a table. It was nuts. Like, it would go up a little bit, but it just straight across. The torque that this thing it still drives like stock. Like the way Andy tunes, and I can't give him a shout out enough. Like, we've had so many people, so many different cars come to us tuned by other people, and not to say that they didn't tune them well, but they just don't tune them for drivability. They tune them for like peak horsepower and peak performance. And while maybe you want that if in a race car, this isn't a race car. This is a car that this guy drives to work and back and cruises around on the streets on Saturday nights, and sometimes his wife drives it. So like, we wanted it to drive as close to stock as he could, and he said the only difference between the way it drives now and the way it drove before is that because it's got a stock converter, the cam kind of surges a little bit at idle, so when he lets off the brake and right before he hits the gas, he can feel it kind of shake the car a little bit. But you're not going to get away with that with a cam and a stock converter. Sometimes it's just kind of the nature of the beast, if you will. And so I'll kind of show you that here when we're going to turn around right here. If we so if we get going slow enough, and I'm going to turn around, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but you can feel it kind of and you can't really do much about that. If I stop and then just let off, you can kind of feel it kind of lurching the car just a little bit. We're going to turn the draggy on and see if we can get a decent video of a 60 to 130 in it. Stop that, because I'm going to have you hold this. Alright, we're going to see if we can do a pull here.
The draggy's not working, unfortunately, so we're just going to video trying to do a pull.
Feels insane, guys. Absolutely insane. It doesn't make sense how the tires get traction at that speed. It doesn't make sense.
My car doesn't like to get traction at that speed.
No, and this has street tires on it. They're not even good street tires. They're Lionhearts. Don't ask Andy about Lionhearts. He has a real hate-hate relationship with those. But like, if we stand on it right now. Damn, this car is fast.
The poor lady had no idea. She just had her hand up trying to block the sun.
Hispanic ladies, obviously.
Yeah, because we're in Mexico. Anyways, this car has been a dream to work on.
Yeah, everything, this is a car that, working on it, nothing went difficult. Like, the only thing we really had trouble with was the alky control, and that was tuning it, and that was just because Andy and I hadn't messed with a mass airflow sensor controlled, alky controlled or meth system before. But luckily Julio came on the phone, he helped us out, we got it dialed in, and now this thing is ripping. I mean, the DA is 3,700 feet right now, And according to this, of course, it's invalid, but it just did a 60 to 130 in 6.4 seconds. And that's honestly kind of warm. It's like, I don't even know what's the radio say it is, 85 degrees outside right now. But I mean, this thing just, no problem, it loves it. If this thing had a tire on it, this thing would be an absolute murderer at the track. I bet this thing would easily run 9s. I'd love to see what it would do in the quarter mile, but it's tough to even measure that on the streets. Got these Lionhearts on it, so it doesn't get any traction below probably 40 miles an hour. But just a conglomeration of the right parts: Cook's headers, Cook's exhaust, Magnuson 2650 supercharger, the Cortez performance parts galore, the intake, the expansion tank, the heat exchanger, the Mighty Mouse catch can, just all of it kind of came together. We really didn't have to buy much from the parts store. I mean, we bought some hose to reroute some vacuum lines, just for our own preference. We didn't really need to do it. And I mean, really, that's about it. We really didn't have you bring much home for this. It all came in the kit.
A couple oil changes, but
yeah, I mean, obviously we do oil changes because I always leave the oil that was in the motor in it when I do like a cam swap. That way on the first start I can get it good and warm, and it kind of runs all the old oil through the engine, and anything that may have gotten in the engine either gets in the filter or in the bottom of the pan, in which case then you drain it out and it's the best way, in my opinion, to get a lot of the stuff that you need to get out. And then you do an oil change, and then we went and did the dyno, and it was 20 some pulls on the dyno, trying to figure out the meth kit and getting things dialed in. And then I brought it home, immediately did another oil change on it before he took it home, so it's got fresh oil in it. It's had 2 oil changes. And you can, complain about that a little bit. It does get a little bit expensive, especially on these dry sump cars where they take 9.5, almost 10 quarts of oil. But it's really cheap insurance to make sure that you don't have any issues, especially after the dyno. We brought it home, and I was able to drain the oil and make sure that there was no signs of failure in the oil. But I mean, this thing's just run great. He took it home for the weekend. He brought it back, and to be honest with you, I think the trans has been dialed in. I think we've got that thing pretty ironed out. Now I just got to figure out these couple of lights on the dash, and then once that's figured out, it's ready to go home again. So hopefully he can have it back for even next weekend. He can go out to more car shows and go cruise around on Saturday night and beat McLarens and Lamborghinis and such. Which, at this point, you'd have to have a pretty tuned up Lambo to be keeping up with this ride, because this thing is gnarly. I don't know if it's faster than Holly's car on the track, but it's definitely faster than Holly's car on the street.
Which is okay, because
we don't really race her car on the street.
Artemis is thick. We know that.
She races on the track because that's where our sponsors want us to race. So we don't really screw around on the street all that much, but
yeah, so here we have a C7 Z06 that is making 801 to the tire right now, and looks completely stock in here. Like, look, the only thing that you can tell if you push a button is the Elky control, but that's hidden.
That's hidden, so you don't have to mess with it. The other thing about this is like, it drives super nice. You can hear me talk. The car's running right now. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera. You can probably see this thing waving around. It's not because of the wind. It's waving around because the car's shaking from the cam, and you can barely hear it. But you turn this knob right here.
You have it open right now.
Now it's open, and now you can flex on dudes at the light, steal their girlfriends and such.
Just don't give grandma a heart attack. That's mean.
It's very loud. I took it for a drive earlier, and I stopped work in one of the shops up by Northwood. They were all watching me when I came back. They were like, "Well, what the hell was that?" And I got a text from one of the guys I went to school with saying, "That Corvette sounds sick."
and he was like a quarter mile away in his office inside of a building. He said it scared the crap out of him. So she can be quiet, she can be loud. You can go out and screw around with your friends on a Saturday night, make all the noise you want, and then when you're cruising home at night, close the valves, and then you don't piss off your neighbors.
Or, you know, have fun on the street. When you hear about cops come in, just close the valves, they'll think it was someone else.
I get away with that in the truck. I don't think you're getting away with that in a Z06 Corvette.
You might.
However,
You could claim, no, that one sounded different.
look, this one's really quiet, see? Super quiet.
Super quiet. It wasn't me. They don't have to know that all you did was close the valves on your mufflers.
But then you can open it back up when they leave.
Right.
And it makes all the noises. So, yeah, I think that's all we can really say about the Z06. She's good to go. I think Diego's going to take it home this weekend, and he's gonna enjoy it, and hopefully have many miles of trouble-free smiles. So,
See? Miles of smiles. Smiles per miles.
smiles per gallon.
Smiles per mile.
Because we just used 1/8 of a tank just doing what we did today. So,
That don't matter.
he left it with 3/4 of a tank. I've driven it to Northwood.
Alright, well, check back again for the next one.